Hi, welcome to We Have Been Watching podcast with Rob and Mart. I'm Rob.
Hello, I'm Mart.
And in this episode, we're going to be discussing, the two big things we're going to be discussing is She-Hulk.
Yes.
The first episode just dropped on Disney Plus last week, so that's new. And something from the past, Predator, because we watched Prey the other day, so we got us in a bit of a Predator mood to start watching those again.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Are you going to watch all Predator films, Rob?
I'll see if I can be bothered. Well, you say all.
Well,
I'm not going to watch the AVPs. There's a part of me that, I don't know. I like the idea of it, but then you look at the list of things I haven't watched yet that I've never seen before, then it kind of comes a bit of a toss-up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a fond memory of Predator 2, and I'm sure that is definitely rose-tinted glasses, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one for a while. Predator's always fresh in my mind. I feel it's on TV a lot. You catch it a lot anyway.
Yeah, it's on Disney actually. Right, do you want to kick off some trailers?
I know what time it is.
What time is it?
It's trailer time.
Ooh. So, Sandman, a bonus episode. So, I follow Neil Gaiman on Twitter, and a thing popped up the other day, and he was saying, he said something like, I think the piece was, if Sandman does really well, they may renew it for season 2, and Neil Gaiman said, "Come on, get watching, folks," or something like that. And then a day or two later, I think you tweeted out another episode, and then Neil Gaiman. I was like, what? This came as a surprise.
Yeah, well, I actually added it to our notes because the thing that popped up first was a trailer popped up on IMDb for this bonus episode. So I thought, I'll watch that and we'll talk about it. And I never got around to watching it because I didn't realise at the time it was actually sort of out now.
Yeah, now I purposefully haven't watched this trailer. I want to go into it cold.
Yeah, I started looking at it, and then I just thought, I wonder when that's out. And then went in looking to see when it's out, realised it's out now. So got onto it straight away. So we can talk about that in another episode. Yeah. So it's a kind of a trailer for something that's already there. That's no expectation, no wait. Just I
don't know about you. I love stuff like this where it's you're unaware there's something, because we are with everything, social media, whatever, just the world as it is. There's no secrets anymore or surprises anymore, are there? And this is like, because we were kind of fawning over Sandman quite a lot, weren't we? We both enjoyed it quite a bit. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I really am.
Yeah. So that we're talking about the trailer for something that's already dropped, but we'll talk about that on a very soon episode. Yes. The other thing was Fall, and I don't think we've talked about this on the show. We
have. The two girls climbing the tower.
Well, I know we've watched the trailer, but have we talked about it on the show?
Yes.
Okay.
But let's talk again. Go on, because are you kind of on board with this a bit more now?
Well, I think when we saw the trailer, and this is why I've already forgotten that we've already talked about it, but I'm seeing loads of reactions online to people saying about major panics and cold sweats and sweaty palms and feeling really nauseous and things like that, because it's all about, if anyone
being
doesn't know,
high up and
two women trapped on the top of a ridiculously tall tower in the middle of nowhere, and so it's just all that horrible heart in your mouth. If you've got a bit of a problem with vertigo, then this is probably going to push you over the edge.
Do you know what?
See, that was like a little unintended little pun there.
It's a bit of a poet and didn't even know it. Yeah, I really like the look of this. I know it was slagged off at the time, but do you remember iRobot? I can't remember the director of that, but he did all those weird spinning around camera effects that are like totally crazy. Do you remember that?
I don't remember iRobot that well, no. I remember a lot of awful product placement in it. They kept doing close-ups of his car badge and his Converse trainers.
His Converse trainers, yeah. I've got to be honest, I quite like iRobot. But in that, there's a thing where there was some robots walking out over like a steel beam, and the camera spins round and around the beam, and it's really kind of like crazy. I don't know if it's going to be the same in Fall, if they're going to do that kind of camera falling type thing.
To try and imagine what this film's going to be like watching it in a cinema is the Mission Impossible film, which one it was, because they don't number them, do they? So whatever it was, where he was climbing up the outside of the Dubai Tower.
Yeah.
And obviously he was really out there, so obviously he didn't have the magic spy gloves doing it for him. But so he was on a cable, so he didn't fall, but he was still on the outside of the tower at the end of the day. And so that camera's above. I remember watching that at the cinema, and the whole audience just being completely silent and tense because
so,
it's.
Rob, can
incredible.
I peel back the Can I peel back the magic curtain a little bit? So, listeners, we were actually on holiday last week. Me and Rob and our respective families, and we went to the top of we climbed up to the top of a waterfall, didn't we, Rob? And that was pretty high. I gotta say, that was pretty high. And I think we all felt a little bit like ooh at the top of it. I'm assuming the girls climbing this towering fall has got to be what 2-3 times as high as that. So I'm really looking forward to watching this.
And very small. I mean, the whole premise of them just stuck up this very tall, thin tower. I just think, well, how are they going to pad this out for a feature-length film as well? Them getting down. Oh, we're stuck. The end. I can't get my head around. Well, how would you even get down a tower like that that's got no ladder? But I'm intrigued to see it. I think it's getting a cinema release.
It is a cinema release. Yeah. Will you go to the cinema to watch it?
I might be a bit cowardly about seeing this in the cinema, actually.
Not so much cowardly, but it's that thing nowadays. I tend to wait for a lot of things. If it happens across it, I may go and watch it. And my wife won't go and watch it, but I might do it just for that really wowish big screen experience with my little sick bag on my lap. So that might be okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll see. It's a few weeks away, I think, if it comes out over here. But right, what should we talk first? Should we talk She-Hulk?
Go on, let's get it down. So there's lots of moaning about this ahead, wasn't there, Rob, of CGI not looking right, and then She-Hulk being better than the Hulk and everything.
Her looking like Shrek. It's also in the bigger picture of Marvel. Are we getting a bit of an oversaturation now? Got so many characters, and Miss Marvel's not long finished, and then She-Hulk's along.
Here's a question for you. What age group is this aimed at, do you think? Is it us? Is it middle-aged men? Or is it like 20-somethings? A reason why...
I would say isn't it a family audience?
Okay, and I keep hearing that it's a Marvel's Ally McBeal or Marvel's Sex and the City. Aren't those really, really old properties? Like, we know what they are, but I imagine a younger audience just doesn't.
Well, the Ally McBeal one's just cringy because all I've just thought of is what's got some jokes in it and some lawyers in it. Ally McBeal. Oh, it's like Ally McBeal.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
So, because that's a comedy lawyer show, and that's it, really, isn't it? I suppose that's the only other connection to it.
Oh, when we say spoilers, there's not really a spoilery thing in this, is there? There's not really a story so far in episode 1 that you can. It's an origin story, isn't it? Really?
Well, I've seen a quote from the directors, producers, writers, I can't remember who it was now, said that a lot of the stuff they filmed for this episode was meant to be episode 8, and the original structure of the whole series was what her origin was going to be later.
Okay.
And then for whatever reasons they've decided to restructure it and have the episode 1 as an origin story, which based on this feels like the perfectly correct thing to do, because unless I'm aware of She-Hulk. I've probably read a few issues. It's not a character that I know really well. I know her origin, but I watched this with both my kids, and they don't know who she is, because I mean the name gives it away. Oh, it's a woman Hulk, but they don't really know the origin or the fact that she was doesn't want to be a superhero and she's rather stay as an attorney and all that sort of stuff. So this was just laying the groundwork of the character, familiarising face from Bruce Banner and the Hulk as well, isn't it? So if you've seen the Avengers films, it's like someone
it's actually
you know.
him, yeah. Nice. Do you know what?
So sets things up, just puts a few things in place, just gets you getting to know the character. That's all this does, really. It doesn't set up any super villains or any big backstories or anything.
So as you know, as super geeks, you and me obviously know the origin of She-Hulk, which is she's his cousin. Something happens and he gives her a blood transfusion. Weirdly, my wife doesn't really know who She-Hulk is. She's got passing knowledge. And I sort of turned to her and said, well, in the comics, she's got to have a blood transfusion, so I don't know how they're going to play that. And then they're in a car, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then there's a car crash, and I'm like, oh, really? And then it was a little hokey, would you say, how she gets... So basically, Bruce Banner cuts his arm, so does she.
Yeah, it's a little bit convenient.
It's like a zombie apocalypse, isn't it?
To make it happen, they've had to write in the fact that the Hulk can go back to being Bruce Banner again now, and then has to cut his arm, and his blood has to fall directly into hers. But that's fine by me, because if you criticise that, then you've got to look at so a guy working in a lab, a bolt of lightning comes through, hits the chemicals, and gives him the flash powers.
Exactly.
So it's just all a bit stupid, really, isn't it?
Also,
this is no more stupid than any other origin story.
And also, it's not, we're not doing, I don't know, Falcon and Winter Soldier here, which are that kind of serious air. Straight away, you're breaking the fourth wall. You've got that kind of comedy. Again, that kind of a little bit of like Scrubs or Malcolm in the Middle or Ally McBeal. I mean, I never really watched Ally McBeal. I'm vaguely familiar with it, but it's that kind of it's light-hearted, half an hour episodes with a little bit of finding your feet, a little bit of this, little bit of sibling rivalry, a little bit of that. Bruce has been struggling with the Hulk for 20 years, and she does it straight out the gate, and he's like, really? But it's played for laughs, isn't it?
Yeah, and all that's fine, because he doesn't know any other Hulk, so this idea that why would she be the same as him anyway, just because he's like an expert because he's the only one, but it's different. So all that sort's good. I like... Bruce is a real klutz in this, isn't he? He's definitely playing it quite light in this. She's got, I really like the way she sort of delivers her lines and stuff like that. Where she's not, wow, I've got some responsibility now. She's like, oh, this is annoying. It's kind of like a bit of an annoyance, and she's got a very deadpan sense of humour. So I think she's really good. It
is, isn't it? It's that sort of, I'm accidentally stuck. I've got a job to do. I've got a rent to pay. I've got to do these things. I can't just give up my life and just be. Because that's always the thing in any superhero thing. You become, well, maybe not Spider-Man, but you become a superhero, and suddenly you're off. You're living at Avengers Tower. You do whatever. You don't deal with day-to-day things like paying the rent, paying a mortgage, food shopping, all that sort of stuff.
I think when we had even Doctor Strange's origin, he was a bit angsty because of his car accident, and he had to learn to accept his powers. And what they did with Wanda was a bit dark and angsty. And so with Miss Marvel and this, I like the way these TV shows have gone a bit lighter. I mean, Moon Knight was a bit angsty, but then again, there was a lot of jokes in that had some light-hearted parts to it as well. Yeah. Even though the violence is a little bit grittier than this, I suppose. But this is just playing it for fun, and this is a bit of an obvious stupid thing to say, but it feels very comic booky. Obviously,
it's easy. This is an easy watch, isn't it? I may even say as well, Moon Knight maybe, WandaVision definitely, Loki for sure. There's so much weight behind these, as in backstory, lore. Oh, who is he? What's that? Is he from that? Is he from... In this, aside from a passing knowledge of the Hulk, which you've looked at any sandwich box or kids' toy shelf in the last 10 years, you'll know. I think even people who don't know the Avengers films, they'll know. Everyone knows who the Hulk is.
If you've missed episode 1 and it's like, oh, I haven't got time to watch episode 1, just fill me in. She's a Hulk as well, which she doesn't want to be. There you go. You're up to scratch. Fine. Which makes you think, well, why do we need to watch the first episode then if it's that?
It's fan servicey enough for the nerds, and it's light enough for newcomers, I think. Now, what did you think of that kind of now what's the actress's name? Is it Jamala Jalil, is it?
I don't know if it's pronounced Jamila Jamil.
Yes. I'm pronouncing that so badly. I'm so sorry.
And she's in Good Place. That's the thing I know. Well, actually, before that, she used to do hosting on some E4 in England TV show, didn't she? I know from The Good
Place, and I absolutely love her in that. I think she's fantastic. What was was it meant to be? To me, that was a really crap cosplay type costume character. That was how I took it. Do you think that is that style of how it's going to be? Do you agree? Did it look a bit sort of like a bit crap and a bit cosplay?
I think her character's meant to be... She's not meant to be in like a super villain outfit, is it? I think she's meant to be some sort of... I don't know, she's meant to be some sort of Kardashian
Oh,
spoof or
okay.
something like that. I think she's meant to be some sort of influencer or something weird like that. I think they've gone,
right, okay.
I think they've gone the route of like trying to make her modern.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
why she's smashing into the courtroom at the end, we don't know.
Well,
But
not sure yet. So.
we don't need to know. I also like with this, which I think Marvel have been doing quite well, is it's annoying if you watch the trailer because it felt like a lot of the good comedy beats and jokes were already done because you've seen the trailer, but the trailer's very heavily episode 1, which means other than I know Abomination's going to be in this later on.
Yeah, there's nothing else to see, is there?
Yeah, there's not much else. Oh, and Daredevil's obviously going to be in it. They've announced that, but really, what she's going to get up to, what kind of antics she's going to get up to, and adventures and whatnot. You know, is each episode going to be a standalone case that she's working on with some other things back, or is it going to be like an ongoing villain storyline? I don't really know, and that's a good place to be because I don't feel like I'm not watching this thinking, oh, this is such and such a storyline, so I know where it goes.
Yeah. Do you know one thing that I think is going to be quite funny on this? Well, shout out if I get it right. So what I quite liked is there's obviously that comment there about that, you know, women do still in this day face prejudice in the workplace. It's terrible. I tell my daughter they've got to change the world, you know, but it's, yeah, she says, you know, fear, anger, those are baseline feelings for women. And hilariously, I think that we're meant to think that that her Hulk side is gonna cure this, but actually I bet it makes it worse. So I bet there's gonna be a T-Wolf style moment where she's in the middle of a presentation. Oh, sorry, Your Honour, I've got to go to the bathroom, and she has to run off, do something, comes back in and clothes are ripped. A bit like in the first episode, but I bet there'll be some, you know, Mrs. Doubtfire moments, you know what I mean, where she's flipping off, getting back out, getting back in.
I suspect that she might love because now she's kind of outed as a superhero. Yeah. That I think she might stay as She-Hulk a lot, and I think it's going to be one of these, you know, like how the Groundhog Day structure is. Something's happened, something incredible's happened, and then you milk it for all the benefits first.
Yes.
Then you milk it for all the bad side of it, and then you realise at the end,
it's a bit of both.
I've got this for a reason, and can actually make the world a better place because of it. So I think I suspect it's going to go to that structure where she's going to love it, live it large, and have loads of fun being She-Hulk, and then get a bit sick of it for some reason and realise that there is a bit of a weight to it. Maybe get Bruce back in for a little bit of prep talk, or
do we know?
To be honest, that's where Daredevil can come in, can't it?
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer with powers. Oh no, what am I going to do? And he's like, well, I'm a lawyer with powers, and I'm blind as well. And you see me getting on with it, so you've got to get on with it. And I think he might be a little mentor to her.
Yeah.
Don't know how many episodes. No idea. I'll look that up actually.
Go on, Rob. So from episode 1, how many AC/DC t-shirts do you think you want to give this out of 10 so far?
As a opening episode for a new TV show, I would give this 8 out of 10.
Well, good for you. I'm going to actually say 7. Is this the first time you've voted something higher than I have? I'm going to give it a 7. I didn't love it. I enjoyed it so far, but I will say we'd had a very long drive on the day. I was pretty tired watching it. I possibly wasn't at my best. So at the minute, for me, 7 bulging biceps out of 10.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
That's cool.
Yeah, so Predator. Now, Predator, the original Predator.
Yes.
This isn't one of these films. It kind of falls in a funny place for me. It's not like, and I often use Flash Gordon I've used Flash Gordon as an example before. You know, like a childhood thing that you love, but critically you realise it is a bit naff.
Yes.
So Predator's not quite that. So I can't justify it as a great movie, but I do enjoy it, and it does fall into a little bit of that camp where I can't be too critical with it because I feel like I know it so well and I've seen it so many times.
Same sort of thing. I think I've mentioned this many, many times before. There was like a holy trinity of films out. I think it was Aliens, RoboCop and Predator all come out at the same time, and I just rented them all over and over and over again. So me and my son watched Prey the other day, and then I said to him, oh man, you're gonna have to watch Predator. So the following night I watched Predator. Do you know what really made me laugh? And I didn't even think about this. We started watching it, so of course it's all establishing shots of Arnie and his team getting out the helicopter, and you get all your straight away. I mean, these are the biggest, most manliest of men in the world, aren't they? And you know the scene where Arnie and Carl Weathers clasp hands and you've got the biceps bulging. My son looked at me and he went, "That's the meme." And I was like, "Yes, it is." I was like, "That's where that meme comes from." And I was like, "God, young people know films now from memes."
Yeah, that's good. That's going that way, definitely.
I must admit, it was filmed better than I remember. The quality was. It's on Disney Plus. I don't know if it's been upscaled or what, but the film quality was good. Rob, I'm gonna say it straight out, just get it out there. It's that thing where you say to your kid, "Oh my God, it's the best film you're gonna see in your life," and actually, it's not. It's good. I still really enjoy it, but I think there's a healthy dose of nostalgia, love in there as well.
I think it does what it's meant to do. I think it does its job really well. The thing that dates it really is just like you said, the manly manliness is so manly. The testosterone is just all over the screen. Yeah, that's a little bit silly. I think the bit when they go to that, there's a bit of the shootout bit when they go to that camp,
jungle camp, yeah,
and that's a bit A-team, isn't it? Where people are going and jumping around.
There must be a style of stuntman effect now which just don't do it, because every single time it's like get shot, explosion, and then it's obviously someone launched from a trampoline or something, flying over the camera into some water or something.
That sort of stuff is what's dated. But because this is
87, isn't
it? John McTiernan, isn't it, that directed it?
Yeah.
So Hunt for Red October, which is a kind of cat and mouse structure to it, is good. I've not seen that film for a long time.
No,
Predator obviously is cat and mouse, and he also directed Die Hard, of course, which is cat and mouse. So this idea of someone being the cat and mouse structure, those three films, he's nailed that. He can do it really well, because that's what's good about Prey and is so good about Predator, is that being hunted by this unknown enemy, and the little bit of, these guys are super, super tough, but then you start seeing that little bit of fear in their eyes that, hang on, we're outmatched here, and we're used to being top dog, and we're not anymore.
I wonder if
it works.
I wonder if anywhere there is an edit or a cut that's been upscaled, because you first see through the Predator's eyes, like the heat vision. That's quite ropey now, and my son was like, "That looks terrible." I was like, "Yeah." Have you ever downloaded one of these heat temperature apps? And it's not really that; it's just like a fake thing that you can on your phone, which pretends that it's a heat temperature. There was that, and I do remember the first couple of times you see the Predator is cloaked, and it's got a kind of obviously in the modern films, it's like a slightly mirrored effect in it. On this,
it's got like a shimmer. It's got a shimmer to it later on, hasn't it? Yeah.
In the 1987 one, it's kind of got a bit of a jiggedy-jaggedy outline with like almost not quite sparkly. The effect isn't great, and it dates it quite a lot. The first couple of, and then Rob, as you said last week, when you see the Predator, he gets hurt, doesn't he? And he's there with his rubber gloves, big Predator fingers.
Yeah, but saying that though, the practical effect of his mouth when the helmet comes off,
excellent,
and his beady little eyes, that still looks good, I think.
It's an excellent design. It really is excellent. And then, you've got the fight with Arnie. It is an Arnie vehicle again, isn't it? It's all about Arnie looking tough, Arnie looking hard. But then he does kind of get his ass kicked from time to time in this. And it was quite nice to see that sort of all-powerful, total badass Arnie taking a few licks.
Yeah, he's getting cut. I like all the stuff when he's all in the mud at the end, and he's making practical traps and stuff like that, and he's having to try and take it down.
Rambo, isn't it?
It's a really good Arnie vehicle. I don't know if this was written with Arnie in mind or not, but it's very hard to imagine this working with, I don't know, someone else at the time.
Yeah,
this wouldn't work with John Malkovich, would it?
It's all about massive muscles and sweating and shaving in the jungle.
And if it wasn't him, if it was Stallone, if this was in an alternate reality where Stallone made Predator instead, I think it would probably still work. But you do need this big tough guy, muscly guy that needs taking down a peg or two and realises he's outmatched, because I think that's what works in it.
It's good. Yeah, it's still got some of that. Who is the guy? He's like a Native American actor, isn't he? They do that thing where he's like sensing the predator. I don't know if that's culturally appropriate nowadays, but Do you know what?
Yeah.
It's still really great. I might have been razzing on it a little bit. It's still really, really good. It's just a little dated, and some of the things you're seeing there, like the skinned skeletons early on, they look really good. And I don't know if it's just because they're practical effects, and the blood droplets underneath them sort of gets a good sense of suspense as you go. Yeah, I mean, I watched it. My son's 17, and he said, you know what, I think I like Prey a bit more. And I said, that's absolutely fine. I totally get that. I think maybe a younger viewer would appreciate the sort of modern filmmaking of Prey a bit more than the 80s style.
It's hard to say. I mean, ratings wise, how many bulging biceps out of 10 would I give this? But it probably is like a 7 out of 10, which is similar to what I gave Prey, really. So
yeah. Same for me, 7, 8, something like, because I can't.
It's not RoboCop, is it? It's not like RoboCop where we watched it and we just went, oh, I still love this, and it's like seeing an old friend that you just like, oh my god, it's good to see you again. It's not quite that, is it? It's
something about the RoboCop vibe there that just still perfectly works, and we haven't quite got it with Predator here, have we? Rob, do you want to quick something else? We're near the end of the show.
So I watched True Romance the other day.
No, I haven't seen this for years and years and years.
Someone was very sceptical about it. He's like, "Oh, is it just like a love story? Why are you making me watch this?" And I explained the whole Tarantino thing. Like Reservoir Dogs was massive. Everyone went nuts about Reservoir Dogs, and so they were just like, "What else has this got?" Obviously, Hollywood went, "What else has this guy written? Let's make natural born killers and let's make True Romance." And so From Dusk Till Dawn. So you had these films coming out that were written by Tarantino that weren't directed by him. So I said it's the closest you're going to get to a Tarantino film you've not seen, because he's watched a lot of the ones that he's directed.
Yeah.
First thoughts at the start was, this is such a little fantasy world because here's this nerdy guy who goes to Kung Fu Double Bills and works in a comic shop, but when he goes to visit Gary Oldman's drug dealer, he's very tough and he doesn't bat an eyelid, and he really stands up to him and handles himself really well. And it's like, really, this nerd that's in the comic show?
I can speak from experience there. No way.
It's got a load of people in it, a load of faces that we recognise, which my son didn't recognise. I mean, Brad Pitt's in it very, very briefly, so he obviously knew who he was. My son said, what else has either of these people been in? So is it Rosanna Arquette or Patricia Arquette? Which one is it?
Patricia?
And other than Severance recently, he was like, what else has Christian Slater been in? He just films Heathers. He doesn't know that.
Yeah, Star Trek.
Standing in the doorway in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper, Christopher Walken seems great. Oh, we recognised it. Oh, it's the guy from Sopranos, so we recognised him in it. Got Val Kilmer as Elvis. There's familiar face. I think is Michael Madsen in it in one bit. I can't remember now. Gary Oldman is playing the Drexel, the wants to be black drug dealer.
Yes,
it's got such
Gary
a good
Oldman's
cast.
Mad in this, isn't he? Yeah.
It's good. What could I say? I mean, it's got a little bit of a mean streak. It's kind of left like a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. There's a bit where she's kind of getting beaten up for information. It goes on a little bit long.
Right,
sometimes you just feel like, hang on, you're sort of enjoying the violence a bit too much here, director.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but then there is some good stuff in it. I think it starts off really well, and there's a bit when he goes off to Hollywood, and he accidentally comes into us with a suitcase of drugs, if you remember. And he goes to Hollywood, he has to try and get rid of it through his mate, who's working there as like an extra or something. And that's when it kind of dips a bit, and it's just the stuff when they spend a lot of time with this agent guy who they're trying to get rid of the drugs, and it kind of gets a bit boring then. And then it kind of livens up at the end when you got this big mad Mexican standoff there. It all kicks off again at the end, but.
I haven't seen this in easily 20 years. Do you recommend I watch it again?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed watching it again. I think it's one. It is good. There's a lot of lines I'd kind of remembered. There's a few bits that I'd kind of almost sort of forgot. Samuel Jackson's in it. Blink and you'll miss him. He's barely in it.
Really?
Yeah. It is good.
Give it a go. All right, I will.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's amazing, but I think it's a good film. I mean, it's not Pulp Fiction level or Reservoir Dogs level or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that kind of level, but it's not far off though.
It's well remembered though, isn't it? It's very well rated still.
It's certainly better than Natural Born Killers, which I really don't like.
Yeah, I remember that just being very, very strong.
I think actually a good comparison to it is when I was talking about Sin City a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
And watching Sin City again and feeling, I don't know, is it me getting older or something, or maybe I'm not. Films aren't as violent as they used to be, but it's a bit like Sin City. There's a few which I was thinking, oh, that's a bit.
It's a bit
much.
strong, yeah.
But overall, enjoying the style of it, and there's some good lines in it, and it's got a great cast in it. So really, it's that similar vibe to rewatching Sin City, I would say.
Fab. Definitely have to give it a go. Right, folks, we would love to hear what you think of She-Hulk. And actually, Rob, do you know what? We haven't asked listeners, if you'd be so good, give us a review on Apple podcast app, if you would, or whatever podcast app you're listening to. If you're able to give us a review on there, or give us a thumbs up or a like, whatever, or on YouTube. Our YouTube channel's growing a little bit more each day. Rob, we're nearly on 50 subscribers. That might not sound like a lot to anyone else, but it's a lot to us.
I noticed that the other day. I noticed it's 49 subscribers, and I thought, hang on a minute, have I actually subscribed myself using my personal account?
Get it on.
I already have.
So have I.
I couldn't push it up to 50, unfortunately.
You'll have to make another account online, won't you? So, folks, drop us a line with your thoughts, as always, on the show. It's We've Been Watching Podcast at gmail.com. Over on Twitter, at WHBW Podcast. And on Instagram, it's We've Been Watching Podcast. And we will see you soon, guys. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye-bye.